And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League, which had a banger as game one for today between Rogue and Virtus.pro on Chalet. But now we have a next one to go through. It's Kovana versus Team Empire. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Milos Medic. With me are Jess and Fresh, and we're going to have a chat about these two squads, starting off with, I think, innocuous Team Empire, the #2 team currently in the world, because they went to the major in Mexico and they did so well, and I'm so very proud of them, lifting EU high up finally.
Yeah.
Just how about we have a chat about yet another CIS team?
Yeah.
That's the pattern.
I mean, that's the pattern. I get them in match number 1 and match number 2, and they couldn't be any more different. VP on the lower end of the spectrum as of late, and they proved that against Rogue. Unfortunately, they walk away with a point, but Team Empire, they've walked away with many, many points, and they are hoping to continue that here. They're on a very, very short track to the Six Invitational if they keep up the performance. Did they already qualify as a result of that finals? I believe they may have. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the full
think they're
points.
close. I think they've got to finish like
Not
6th
sure.
or above or something like that. I'm sure
Above
Hap will
6?
correct us
Okay, cool.
during the
It'll
cast.
take a couple of weeks to go through it. I'm sure Hap will go, no problem.
Nevertheless,
They're not far off, is what we're
they're
saying. Yeah.
very, very close to claiming that ticket back to the Six Invitational yet again, where hopefully those LAN dreams, of which Team Empire has been known to be quite a very bolsterous LAN team compared to their online performance. However, we do know what can happen to Team Empire after a LAN. Is it they struggle to adapt to what it's like to play online again? They're on about 60 to 90 ping depending on the player, and as a result they can't take those held gunfights. Usually swing or be swung comes into the mix here for players like Joystick, etc. So they take a little bit to dive into the online sphere. Hopefully the couple of weeks they've had since Mexico Major has given them a little bit of time in scrims to work back out the strategies of the online sphere for them.
So on the other side, it's Kovana Gaming, a UK team. So you can definitely talk about them all day, every day, right?
You're British?
I can. And
British?
I'm British,
War,
yeah.
war.
I can talk about them
Come on,
all
you're-
day. Jess has been a lot more British than me recently. She keeps
He
picking
says
up
it
these
every
British
day.
phrases.
Every day he goes, wow, you sound so
It
British.
sounds so British, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm mocking you.
We can mock Australia now. Oh, you know, some may say that Jess is right now hungry like the wolf.
Love that song. Banger song. Banger.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, the song there. Fresh, Kovana, they're bringing in Benjamaster in here from Denmark. How does he fit in the team?
Yeah, and I mean, if you've been in high elo ranked, I haven't, but if you have
I
been
mean,
in
we know
high elo
that.
ranked,
I watched
he
people
was
that do that.
probably terrored your elo.
Yeah.
It's basic to say. They're bringing in a ranked gunner that recently turned 18. I think it was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, jeez.
He's been with them a little bit before that, obviously. And they needed to change something, is right to say. Obviously, after Kendrew leaving and Officer standing in. Officer is a great player, but he can't stand in forever. Ride was actually saying he has an absolutely insane reaction time for his age, Mr. Officer, just as a little fact for
Someone age 57,
I can't remember
that's pretty cool.
the
what it
exact
is.
reaction time, but it is very, very short reaction time for his age. But going back to their changes, they're losing an IGL for a fragger, and that puts a lot more weight and responsibility more across the team. I think they've talked publicly about it being a more of a multiple person shot caller type role, and that's fine. But my worry especially is for Anarchic because of his poor stats in stage 2. If he's taking on this additional responsibility and he's going to be the main person that they go to, how is that going to impact his performance? Benja's going to have to pick that up significantly.
All right, let's see how they fare on our map. Again, 7-map pool, 6 down
feel
and
it.
1 to go.
I feel it.
Which
Let's go.
will it be?
Everyone.
It is indeed Bank Villa, taken out by Team Empire. No surprises there. And Bank, the first time ever, Bank will be played in competition. It'll be right here. So Kovana Empire, defense start for Team Empire. We can't really analyze much with Bank, or can we?
You and I can.
There you
Yeah.
go.
We used to be part of Bank's competitive era. So, I mean, this is, and let's not
And
forget.
Empire was scary.
And Empire was terrifying on Bank back in the day. In fact, Joystick made some of the biggest ripples in the scene from doing monstrous gunning on Bank, and a lot of people questioned whether or not he would be able to keep that up. Guess what? He's still here to this day to see Bank go out of the pool, be quarantined for however long Bank has been out and changed, and then come back into the mixture this far along in the competitive career. So, and it's had changes, mind you. We did speak about it in our HyperX pre-show, so it's probably go back, have a little look at the video of the changes, but you might get to see it in the game today. You can't miss it.
what we're being told by pros, especially just as a bank kind of overall bank thing, is that we're being told it plays out in a very similar way, but it's just with a little bit more freedom, especially on the defensive half to roam.
Okay.
There's no big windows, etc.
Yep.
And you'll remember the frustrations for bank as well, because the first site used to be very defender-sided, being the basement, and then the rest of the sites were very 50-50, and it interrupted the flow. So I think in terms of the viewer experience that you're expecting for bank, it'll be a nice, much more smooth-flowing game.
It'll be good as well because you have two teams that are very strategically focused. I say that knowing very well that they've brought Benja and they'll have Sloth as a duo for gunning. So I do expect roam strategies here from Kavana, but I do also think that you could not get a better team of Team Empire, other than maybe BDS, on a map like this to show you strategically. This is going to be great because next EUL play day, maybe on the Telestrator, I'll be able to rip through some of the strategies, tell you what the meta is to be expected on this map. It's going to be awesome. We'll break it down, I'm sure, but I definitely expect who's starting on defense. Is it Team Empire?
Empire start defense.
They'll get a good first half, I think, because it's easier to be on a new map on defense than to be on attack, usually.
All right. I'm curious to see this one. Of course, is Bank. The first time it gets played, Interpol, our newcomer map that was in the past, and now it's been reworked, and we have it back in the pool. And it's Team Empire, a very strategic team versus Kovana that is trying to reinvent themselves, maybe more fragging, more lurking. A lot to explore. That's the analyst desk. Let's toss it then to our casters. It's Hap and M. Enjoy.
Thank you, Milos, as one would say. Yes, we are heading into Bank, and then, you know, considering we have been using very poor puns, I'm banking on the fact that it will be a great match, Emmy.
Literally, the light in my room, as you can see if I go here, this is the light of joy from We're Going to Bank. The first time, and it's you and I that are able to take us there, as we said, back in comp, back in the game, back with a little bit of a new face, but still same old Bank. Time will tell.
Yeah, there is some changes that have been introduced towards Bank as the social vote comes out. 81% for Team Empire. It's insane. But yeah, like, I think the major changes, of course, will be on the exterior, where you have now more rotation possibilities. You can now, easily go from alley towards the street. But of course, also some of these skylights that have been blocked off. No more lines of sight are on there. That makes it a little bit freer to roam around, to run around for the defenders. So we'll find out and see if that indeed will be the case as we head into these bands. And considering it's a new map, that might bring us back to somewhat more default bands, some comfort. Okay, yeah, this one is understandable. It's a bunch of hatches inside of Bank. You can almost you could compare that to bottom floor Clubhouse with the amount of hatches.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as hefty as bottom floor club. You have a little bit more options as your way of getting in. It does translate in certain ways, but at the same time, yeah, you're entirely right. There is that hatch control. There's also that danger of range. And that sort of, if you're looking up towards Kanto on the top, that angle, if they're trying to hold on, can become a little bit hit and miss. And Hibana, sometimes you'll see, especially with that ability to kind of use less pellets and be a little bit more economical in their approach with those, could really start to tear out some of those rotations, which are a terror. They're a little bit terrifying from certain angles. And that's the thing about Bank is, for a while, it was a little bit angle-driven. It was a little bit of a strange hold. It didn't quite have that groove yet. It was sort of strangely claustrophobic in, like, half of it, and then the rest was a big open slaughterhouse. And I guess I'm just curious to see what much better players than I can put together on a map that's been hidden away. I have a feeling it's going to play slightly different to how it's been
probably,
on ranked the past few seasons.
I actually always like to play ranked, even Bank in ranked, I have to say. Not many people shared that opinion with me, but every time I try to go to Bank, I was having a lot of fun, actually. Of course, a map that was always seen in the competitive scene a couple of years ago, then get taken out, so a bit of nostalgia. As you can see right here, by the way, let's just go over to joystick. That hatch, that has been moved. It was, of course, previously highlighted by the desk, by Jess and Fresh. Used to be on the current spot. right into just in front of the vault. Now it's inside of the vault, gives a bit more free space. And then secondly, the hatch in the elevator has moved to the second elevator. And if we drop down, that's just going to be a singular room right now. A bit more of a safe drop. You can take the angles one by one instead of being literally visible from anybody inside the vault. So 2 of these changes that will be impacting that bottom floor. I don't think there's much else that has changed right here, which will really be a big influence for that bottom floor hold.
I guess the rotation around the outside, but again, that's more just it's sort of the similar to the conversation we had about Club yesterday, where it used to be a very big rotate that you had to take on Bank. If you wanted to go externally, if you wanted to sort of, say some pressures happening on a dirt approach or on those sort of windows there across the northern face, you then have to go all the way across the top if you're hurried around in that corner. Not the same anymore. And here, it just gives them a little bit more mobility. It's not, as you said, the most impactful thing, but it is something worth thinking about. As Kavana find their way in at the top of square, they're going to study their way down the white stairs. They're looking towards blue, and this is a hold that everyone's familiar with. This is a very old hold, especially with that shotgun. That is a heck of a kick, and to be fair, for my money, there's not many better places for a shotgun-wielding Ela than right there on blue.
Yeah, definitely so. There's, of course, been a couple of changes because the ADSs no longer catch 2 or 3 devices. Now it's just a singular one, then a 10-second disc, the countdown, etc. Oh, that Claymore actually being cancelled by the mute jammer, so it's not going to be active as of yet. So, the hold is still the same, just some of the mechanics have changed, and Benja, the newly acquired member, just turned 18 of Kavana, holding off on the angle. EMP will be coming down, and that will be bringing in a grenade. Surely will be taking care of the shield, every piece of utility that's out there as well. So quickly, just putting up the new Grismod.
Now, as they start to try and crack their way through on the hatch underneath, Dan is still dancing with the danger, but it is being held by Benja, as you said, above. They can't really get too wide with the swing, but as long as they have a little bit of a power position there, well, they're not entirely cut off just yet. But that rotate over that hatch, now they've made that decision, that cost of, well, I'm dedicating my life to this. Their drops might be a little bit more damaged and dangerous, but they still have to take care of it. It comes round, and there is at least one before they get responded to. Benja, debut game, debut kill. It's the first for Kavana in this game so far, and they're finally able to get that body out of blue. But with 40 seconds left, Sloth has gone for a bit of a rotate down to the bottom of green, and it seems like Shepard and Joystick are quite aware of this.
Seem to be aware indeed, just making sure that all the angles are being covered off. And as per usual, this site was basically an 80% win chance for the defenders, so you would not be expecting that to change too much with just the 2 hatches that have shifted around, especially not in this first game, because it still plays out a little bit like it usually would. You see a heavy take towards the servers, as always actually takes quite a bit of damage. Sloth about to run in, manages to not get the kill, but I believe, no, not even the injure on either of these players, and as Benja comes in with a great double kill, the plant's going down in the meantime. Anarchic putting 45 seconds on the clock. It's Benja that brings it down to all the way, only up to always. Manages to get a kill, but there's still 2 left.
Wow, it's a 2 versus 1, but I said it was a debut. You may as well hit the hat-trick, Benja. What a way to open up this game. We saw a fantastic debut in the NAL for the opening play day earlier on, and here I guess we'll see if the same is done of the upstarts of this league. Always a sliver amount of health, and not quite the upstart, but still a heck of a player when they need to get into these situations. However, with only 12 seconds left, they're going to see if they can just stick it, but Grizzly has other ideas. The hatches that we talked about before come into play as they always would. This time round, it was still those rotations open, but a pretty clean start there for Kavana, I would say, driven by an exceptional young gunner.
Definitely so. Benja, the new man coming in right here, just turned 18. Able to pick up a triple kill from the start of the round, enabling the rest of the team to safely go for that plant, because no one was in a position where they could try and counter him. So definitely a good start for him. Let's see if he can keep this up throughout the playday, throughout this game. As of course that would be the dream of both Benja and his fans, because he has been around for quite a long time actually. He basically just skipped CL straight away. He played Nordics back when Nordics was still a 16+ tournament, and when that turned 18, didn't really have anything left to play. Now he's here straight up into the EUL, the highest levels that Siege can bring. Only the 6th Invitational, of course, that is above this, together with the majors. That is something that Kavana will look to try and qualify for. They got close in stage 1, a little bit less so in stage 2. They're going to try and do their best to make it this time around. However, Empire, well, Empire, they kind of need that qualification to the major if they want to qualify for the 6th Invitational. So they themselves as well are fighting super hard for this game.
Setting themselves up now with a different modicum of approach. Narkic was a player that was highlighted before on the desk as not quite having the stats that would otherwise drive this team, and it became a bit of a conversation last split as to the sort of changing role of those die-hard supports, the players that throw themselves into that danger position and see if they can get the diffuser down, because in EUL we actually have the comparison against some of the best in the world. Teams like Empire and BDS obviously have home to that very talented get in, get the plant off, get the cover done, and get everything together. And Anarchic sort of falls into that, but you kind of have these little moments where he does lean into a little bit more of an extension of a gunfight, and I'm curious to see if that's something that we do get more of a stretch of here as they start their approach.
Approach indeed coming in, a lot of angles being held on that top floor. Gorgona is about to swing in, that might cost him his life if Dan would decide to go aggressive. Decide to not to. Of course, the cover is there, and Sloth as well, as Kavana trying to clear out that top floor. Joystick active within the elevator there. He's just going to stay put for now, as Gorgona's going to be the first victim, as Dan will be able to pick him up.
Sloth steadily creeps around. They're seeing if they can get closer and closer to the man in the elevator, but it's a long, long corridor and a long, long walk. Joystick, he's looking for the potential of an angle. As I said, that is that opening on that Kanto corner where things can become a little bit dangerous. Oh no, misplay, but doesn't quite get the kill. Connection actually goes elsewhere. There's the pickup on the other side, and Grizzly is able to save a little bit of a life there. Sloth escapes, but really should he have? Dan is on the close angle here, waiting for the sledge to slip past. Who does? The spray's over the top. It's Benja with one more. Concerned about underneath, looks for the feet, can't quite connect, as they still obviously have to make their way downstairs for the defusing.
They need to recover that. Put it down as well onto the site, and you hear the Nitro that is currently still buzzing. There's one in pocket for Scyther as well. Benja, the man that's trying to run over, getting that diffuser of the safe ground now, and needs to make his way back down. They need to get into a position where they can get this bomb plant down. 40 seconds on the clock. It's plenty of time. A grenade will be tossed in deep into the archives. Be able to pick up anybody. However, as it creates extra angles, always will be well aware of what might be happening. Of course, Grizzly, well, they open up just slightly. Benja coming around the corner. There is going to be that bulletproof cam giving away some of the information. They might want to deal with that, and that's exactly what Grizzly will do. Disables it, tries to shoot it right after, and there we go. Yeah, Archives of $12 stake will be coming through, and Benja will be able to pick up a single kill. Goes for the plant. 12 seconds left on the clock. Both of them are around the kitchen. Always just jumps in, tries to go aggressive, and Benja just not able to hit the shot there. Managed to get 1 or 2 shots in, but he needed just one more to make sure he would have landed that kill. After that, it could have been possible, but still, of course, little time on the clock.
So, we said always is a player that can dig themselves in, and they're still pretty big. I think that's the proving point now after this. Empire, they've been having such great runs elsewhere, and it's one of those things where the consistency, you kind of hit a point. You go, when do we say we've hit that mantle of consistency? When do we have the balance in the boat to make sure that it's steam and full steam ahead, or if it's going to run out, unfortunately? And here, I guess, is maybe a bit of a first day teeth biting into for Empire. They've obviously come off the back of their online performances, which have, and their offline performances even, which have been fantastic. Now they've got to see if they can get back onto this online threshold and play against a team like Kavana, who pretty consistently have proven almost fearlessness.
Yeah, for sure. Seem to have not much fear in them now. Especially with Benja, just 5 kills already, 2 rounds. He is definitely the one to watch for now on this team. Newly added to the roster. Now, pick up the first attacking round in. That is, you know, something good already on Bank. I would normally give it, I don't know, a 3-3 or a 4-2 split for the defenders. That would be.
I could not tell you.
I could not tell you now either, because it's been,
I could not tell you what is good.
But, you know, I think that is what you would be aiming for if you're on the defense. And Kavana already being able to pick up a singular round right now in 2 is definitely going to be helpful in the long run here. They want to get as much momentum going to get into that defense themselves. And there's just small angles being opened up everywhere. There's going to be a Claymore ready for the jump out, so they're definitely expecting a bit of aggression to come down from Empire. We're not really heavy onto that top floor hold for now.
I was going to say, but they've done these really big extensions. We obviously have the mirror window from the kitchen out towards the bottom of square underneath. Sloth yet again playing this Nook, who has been able to sneak just around the corner, but that would have been outside the sight lines anyway. The Alibi hopped up on the table behind the shield. It's going to give them a little bit more edge to work with. The Cook Grenade just on the other side does do a bit of damage, and well, there goes the Alibi and the shield, still concerned about the swing out from potentially the top there, and Joystick is in the same position. Has the hatch to drop if things get a little bit too hot this time round, but still couldn't quite get the solidity on the kill previously. Grizzly is holding a very far away angle, hasn't got the confidence to move up all the way yet. The spray does a lot of damage, wants to bait out Joystick, and there it is, and that court this time round has fallen the way they almost fell before. But Dan is going to try and clean his way up out of Janitor. Shepard finds Gorgona, who unfortunately hasn't really been able to get those claws into the game as of yet, but Dan, he's going to make sure that Benja, who has, isn't going to get them into this round.
Goes out aggressive, and we just see the shot missing there from Sloth. Dan makes it back towards the side, and that keeps us in a 4-on-3 situation. Bulletproof cam up very high here. Grizzly needs to make a jump for it to take it out. It's going to be costing some time, actually. Decides to shoot it from the bottom. Good thinking here from him. Grenade will be coming in as well to the Talars area. A little bit of damage done to Shepard, nothing too big for now, and Nitro will be popping as well. We continue in a 4v3 situation. No, nothing too much coming through from any of the utility pieces just used, but would you look at that, there's plenty of verticality available, and Exothermic will be used from above right now to open up a bit more of a verticality, vertical side, of course, into the archives. The Sloth goes for the hunt and is not going to be able to pick up the kill, gets down by Always, losing 2 HP himself, that leaves it all up to Grizzly and Anarchic.
A little bit of a missed moment there as he just swung right past him on the sort of staircase, buried it on the corner, and it's unfortunately not the first time that's really happened for him this game. Grizzly is very low health in the core of the site itself. No diffuser in hand, gets a great take against the pinged enemy, knows there's still one on the stairs and finds that as well. Suddenly, just from being able to isolate these 1v1s based on the intel, they've got themselves into a 1v1. They only have a handful of seconds left, though. Got to pick up the diffuser. Dan is playing this just on the safety of the other side of those beepers. They're going to get the swing round, but at this moment in time, it doesn't really matter. He should be able to make it to them. Going for the intel, sprays over the top. Just found him as the dying seconds come through. Grizzly almost pulled it out of the bag there, but Dan was the man with the magic at the end.
He almost managed to steal it there, and then it's Dan, the man with the alibi, who, well, basically danced around his own death at the top floor near Janitor, and of course the long meeting table for, at the start of the round. Managed to escape a couple of grenades, then pushed through, killed Benja, jumped down, escaped the shots of Sloth there that were meant for him. And as he survived all that, he now comes in clutch in the end in a 1v1 situation. Bringing an Empire up a singular round for now. 1-2. We're going back towards the basement. CCTV will be brought out together with the lockers room. Let's see if Empire is going to be able to give them the answer. Give Kavana the answer to the question that has been posed into that previous defensive round, because back then, it was Benji that picked up the triple kill, but the plant was already going down at the very same time as here again. You see that replay of Grizzly. It's a beautiful flick onto Shepard, and then good realization of the second player coming in. Of course, a ping as well to help. Bit of a pre-fire to come through. Second or third one actually on the stairs. And so a 1v4 turned into a 1v1. And unfortunately, also happens with me all the time. You choke it on the last one. It wasn't really a choke, of course, but...
There was a moment when you and I and our analyst at desk, Jess and Fresh, were playing ranked earlier today, and I do like that there was a moment where Jess just got really mad because the rotation happened and it wasn't noted, and she got killed, and she went, what is this stack?
We were winning 3-1, by the way.
We were winning. We won that game 4-1.
It was 3v1 that round, and she died. And she was like, what is this stack? We've been winning everything. What am I doing here?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to, it just came back to me there. And here's another thing that's just come back to me, and I guess it's going to be a little bit of a conversation that they had earlier where they talked about a different game. They talked about Na'Vi and they said, are we going to get an on-Doki or an off-Doki? It's kind of the same thing with Gorgona, but I'm going to put an asterisk there because he didn't used to play this role. Correct me if I go too wrong here, but Benja seems to be the one that's picking up that sort of soft destruction mantle. We saw Gorgona generally rocking a lot of buck, and a lot of those sort of quicker entries and those flex aggressive roles, they've sort of handed that over to Benja, and Gorgona, who was a huge gunner now, is onto the Thatcher role instead. Whether it's just a specific thing that they're trying on Bank, whether it's just a thing that they're trying in general, either way, a player who, when he showed up, was often the entire driving force for Kavana on their previous splits, hasn't really been able to find a groove yet. And I'm curious if it's one of those questions of, is it an on day, is it an off day, or is it just teething into the new role?
Not quite sure what it is for now, but of course Benja, he was brought in as like the, you know, the wonder child, you can almost call it, you know, straight up into comp from as soon as he's 18. You want to put him onto a role where he's very comfortable, and for now he seems to be doing quite well. Let's not hype him up too much, of course, for now, but sort of just spotting the Ela running by, and it's quite dangerous. It's an FO12 just around the corner. The question is Sloth going to be able to respond quick enough, or is the FO12 going to be able to take him out? As soon as it makes a bit too much noise, surely Dan is going to be going quite aggressive with that one. He's holding around the corner for now. Sloth trying to descend these stairs, letting his presence be known by firing a couple of shots out of the ARX. Meantime, however, the take is already really coming down from the server's side. Grizzly is inside the stack, Anarchic is at the bottom of the stairs, and the hatch is already being occupied as well. And if you're looking at the amount of smoke canisters used, it's already one. One is just about to be tossed out. That means there's one left for 40 seconds of play.
Sloth here, he's obviously gone onto the Iana. He thinks he might be able to have a little bit more success in terms of getting into these aggressive, not quite missing the mark as he did. I think he got a bit too lost in the idea of the Nook trying to find these back roads, but they still hit a bit of an impasse. There it is, the swing of the FO12. It was always going to be a beast when it went round, but at the same time, the pressure's come on the other side. And Anarchic is just going to stick with the bravery of a man that, pulls off in the last second, but suddenly it's a 3 versus 1, so it's a fair decision. They went for the frags instead, realized they were baiting the play. It's pistol versus pistol, but he sees the elbow of Benja, a 2 versus 1, and they just are able to slip away in time. 3 flashes in pocket, and obviously they have a little bit more of a buff in terms of just trying to long arm them into the room where that diffuser is, but the positioning is one where they've pulled away, and Dan is well aware of this, having to go for a big rotate, knows that they can't just try and take the fight under the hatches because they will likely lose. Unfortunately, the change to the FO12 is one that led to a lack of success.
Yeah, definitely so. FO12 in this retake situation, not really the one that you would have liked to have, but if they would have tried and challenged him a little bit earlier on, he might have been able to put up quite some good damage. And thus again, the bottom floor, which is known to be very defense-sided, turns out to the attack twice now, whereas the other 2 rounds have gone over to the defense. So, what a quiet simulation we live in so far. In the meantime, Dando, 8 on 3, really doing his job. Grizzly with 7 kills as well. Of course, playing on one of the Heartbreach roles. It's not something you often see. Of course, the AK-12, a really good gun on the in the hands of Ace. Now the alibi coming out again. Are we going to see that same top floor hold where we see the mirror window to be set up? We see some prismas to be, you know, tossed around of Dan's position, which he can then use to hunt these attackers down if they, you know, shoot a little bit too early or they do not check their fire quickly enough. You've seen this work out quite well, but it's a very similar setup, if not completely the same. It might be just identical. And that would give the opportunity to Kavana now to go for a bit of a counterplay. They can, you know, try and work into what has, let's say, what they struggled with before. And you can see the Twitch already coming out, and that could be a direct counter towards the mirror.
Well, there's a little bit of a pace that we didn't see too much. Benja, a little bit of a team kill in the mix of it, suddenly puts it at a 2 versus 2. Sloth, well, he took out a body of his own on the way through, and suddenly it's just Joystick who's found his way back to site than was he was originally a little bit further off, and a mirror window that Had a pretty easy pick up there, puts us in a 1 versus 1. They're already trying to find the fight though, and this round is very likely to be over within the opening minute. The rotation comes around, the pings are consistent. He's gone all the way behind the chassis, so he has some stability, and Arkic is going for the spray either side of that, has a little bit more range in his pocket. The drone is going to go out. Trying to bait potentially a bit of a swing there. Peppers some bullets to the other side. The new flash is going to allow him to get a little bit closer, but it's closer for either player here. That flash goes wide, doesn't catch him, but he is clipped just on the opposite. Slithers down underneath, and now he's low. He cannot get back up. Who will see to the first? The knock kick finds the round in the end, all over within a sentence and a breath. A bit of a team kill behind a Kavana rush. However, they muscle their way through.
They managed to come through indeed, and it was a bit of a scrappy round there, of course, going in super quick and bringing it back to a 2v2 into a 1v1. Then that 1v1 was actually the longest gunfight that took place in that round. You know, the first 8 kills came down in let's say 30 seconds, and the last kill, that took another 30 seconds to come through. So the time was well taken there, but Kavana take the lead again. Managed to realize that the top 4 hold was quite a strong one. Decided to completely circumvent it. Go around it, just go straight into the site. Might not expect it, and indeed they did not. A lot of the kills coming down immediately. Of course, a mirror window able to pick up a free kill like that. Maybe a bit unnecessary, but in the end the round was still won. And Empire, they better learn of it. Castle Barricade now putting down. Has to be sledged as well, so double sledge to come through. Of course, there's not going to be another similar rush to come in. I say that now, but
you say that now.
Not the same rush to happen. They might just go for a complete other side rush. You know, just go in.
They might
from below, run up the stairs, run into the site, and just spray him down from there on.
Do you know what? I'm getting a little bit of moments and little flashbacks too, and especially that rush round. This sort of brought a lot of happy memories back of Bank when it used to be in the pool. The game that instantly comes to mind is the 92 Dream Team game.
There's a lot of games that come to mind to me. There's a whole region that comes to mind.
Have you watched that masterpiece?
I don't think I've watched that masterpiece.
Often cited as being...
Was that the worst game in Siege, or...?
No, one of the most fun games ever to watch.
Games, okay.
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched it.
I recommend after this broadcast day, if you want to get an idea of maybe how Bank was played back then, it's great. There's a handful of casters and players that you love on the mic as well.
Okay.
Go check it out.
I will.
But before that, we've still got this ahead of us. And as I said, I got a bit of a taste of that, but it's Kavana as well. They saw an opportunity, they tried to take it, and they wanted to put pressure against Empire, a team that sometimes when they were on their off days were highlighted themselves by saying they felt a bit cautious and a little bit too unsure about decisions and moments. Here we're seeing, I guess, flickers of and flickers of not, as they're sort of getting themselves into these tricky situations. Kavana are sometimes striking from places, as we've just seen, that they're not quite ready for, but at the same time, that's the double-edged sword of that Kavana playstyle, where they've also been a little bit surprised by some of these Empire positionings.
Very heavy hold towards the tellers and archives. For you, the Empire players currently active there. Benja from above is trying to put up some verticality. And hoping to find a kill, maybe two. Just to open up the round, the scoreboard and the sights, of course, but seems like they've all rotated back now. All 5 will be around the side. Benja takes care of some of the Mew jammers, which might be helpful in breaching at some points, but it's not really what they need. They need to get inside of the open area and inside of the kitchen, and there is going to be that mirror window. That will be spotting at the Twitch drone if it would be driving down the normal way, but of course it can jump now, so just jumps over the edge, trying to get towards the mirror window, I assume, to hopefully open it up, as the hatches are about to be opened up as well, but the exothermics. Joystick holding from above, holding the vertical. So could be taken out actually. Sloth is inside, and there they go. It's a second kill to come in before he gets team flashed. Suddenly drop comes in, but Sloth Saito actually quick to respond. Almost gets a second kill. His Benjamin in the meantime to come in from side of the archives. And now it stalls out a bit.
They've been able to do very well strong arm their way through, but with 30 seconds left, well, even more strong arm comes through. I was about to say, they've got to start thinking about how they can try and get in on this last hold, but instead they were just sort of able to find these little tip-tap positions outside, utilize these angles that are otherwise put together, and get those lock-offs here. A little bit more confidence from Kavana, built on the back of a rush round 4-2 Is that good? I don't know. I guess we can only really give you those stats and figures once we've got a better taste. Sure, we have all the comparisons of what Bank used to be like, but you have to think of not just how that was the last meta, but it was the meta before the last meta. It was so long ago with such a more narrow selection of operators and instances of what is our modern comp that I really don't want to compare how good or bad these potential turns are until we get a bigger pool of information from pro teams playing it.
It's just the first map as well, since the reboot of the competitive season, stage 3 in every region so far. This is the only Bank we've seen. Now, this bottom floor, hold, the basement floor, it turned into the favor of the attackers twice out of the 2 times it was played. So let's see if Empire is going to be making that 3. On a sign swap as well. There's going to be some flying drones ready. Always, of course, checking if the hatches are being reinforced, which is, of course, the case. Hibana making sure that it's going to be difficult to open up these hatches. As Empire also running the Ace and the Thermite. Might be focusing more towards the actual... Ooh, this is very unfortunate. Okay, I was going to say, that will be very unfortunate if he loses out, but gets back just in time. There's the last pieces of information, the last little bit of lines aside, and rotations are about to be created. It is Empire that is already at the walls of the Bank.
Yeah, let's see how their Empire attack starts to come together here, because it was something where, as I said, their highlight moments, taken off the top there. Their highlight moments were when they were a bit braver, when they weren't really droning themselves, taking a bit of time, being a bit slow. They sort of found a bit of that confidence.
Oh, no way.
11-5 is doing his best to start tearing them apart and really start, I guess, putting that fear back into them. Something that you sort of need to. On a big map like this, as I said before, there are a lot of these angles that are outside. There is this big kind of hulking space on an entire half of this map that is that big open lobby, and it takes bravery to go against those windows, and it takes a lot of gun skill to be able to match that bravery, and if it is something that's successful, it can really put a lot of doubt into the confidence of a team that's approaching.
It definitely will, because a lot of damage was done towards Benja, and then, you would expect him to fall back, but no, instead of that, he goes even more aggressive. His job was to take out anybody that would be rappelling up towards the side of the Bank, and, even after taking some damage, he's like, that's my job, I'm gonna have to do it, I'm gonna have to get that kill. Manages to do it before he falls back, and then 2 kills in his favor, in Kavana's favor, meaning that we're currently on a 5-3 division on the man count, and Kavana is looking like they have an opportunity to pull themselves up to 5 here. Empire, with 2 men less, need to pull off this attack if they want to start the comeback, if they want to start equalizing that score. Hatch has been opened up. Dan is well aware of that. Waiting for a drone to provide him some information, but of course first the open area and the kitchen need to be droned out. They need to know that everything is safe before they start contesting, because you do not want to be shot in the side. That's exactly what's happened now. They spotted the openings actually from the inside walls, make it harder to open up for the default plant, which is of course just back off until the right pixels start planting, so literally nothing sticks out for the defenders to try and shoot to.
Double stacked and storied, and Shepard just took a little bit of damage from something, and you've still got a lot in the pockets. 2 C4s to try and prevent this plant with the mirror window ready and able to go over the top as well. There it goes though, but it's still something where you can get the swing up. There is a body, it looks like, in garage, ready to try and offer some support as well if they go for a swing round. Empire doesn't have much to work with here, if anything at all. They've got themselves close to the lineup, but really, this is entirely Kavana's to just lock out. It'll take 1 well-played C4 here, not just to buy the time, but the cover comes through. Dan's able to get a very important kill. The second C4 goes off, though, just a second too late, but it still goes off. It got the body on top of the hatch as well. They swung and took a gamble that wouldn't quite connect, and it comes through with Kavana. It was theirs to lose, let's be fair, but it was a split second there where things almost went away from them.
Just getting that plant down is already such a big achievement in that case, and if you then manage to set up your post plant well enough, it could have just gone the other way around. However, 5-2 is what we're finally in now. Round number 8. It's the opportunity for Kavana to decide that it's enough and they want to go to match point. And the question will be, are they going to achieve it? And if so, where will they achieve it? Because staff room and open area, that will be the choice now. The top floor has been voided by both these teams so far. No mirror play, however, coming out so far. We see the Echo that makes its debut on this roster to be picked up to try and stop any plants from happening or to slow an attack if it's going too quickly. Of course, the Yoka drones can also be used to drone in your entry fraggers, to drone Benja and Sloth around to let them pick up these aggressive kills. Not that Benja had any issue with that without the drones, by the way, because he has been doing super well for now. He is going to have a big EPP, as Jess would say.
Are we still making those jokes? I saw someone actually posted that to the Pro League subreddit.
Yeah.
And they marked it not safe for work.
Marked it not safe for work. For asking what a
talking about the players' large EPPs. Yeah, it's the new rating system. Get with it.
And for those of you that don't know,
sex sells.
It has nothing to do with electronic. No, it is it's expected player performance. So,
Yeah.
you are expected to perform to a certain level that has a base number named 100. If you do below that, you get a point or a score below 100. If you do above that, so you do better than expected, you get a score above 100. So, that's what it's about. Short version.
So Benja, 11-5, but I feel like you still got a lot more. 5-2 to Kavana against the recent major finalists. This is, I suppose, one of those sort of moments where, no one could really have predicted this, but it's that young gun energy. It's that ability of a team like Kavana who, as I talked about earlier, they are an unendingly confident team a lot of the time. They're a fearless team, which pays off in these big sort of kind of stadium matches against a team like Empire. It gives you something to add a little bit of a shock factor to a map that in itself is a shock factor. It's a new experience. And I'm very happy that we get a chance to start to see it on the first playdate in the second game. So there's still a chance for a little bit more bank if other teams are feeling like they want to treat us.
Still an opportunity indeed. Still 3 more games indeed. As always, in the lobby there. Might be spotted out by the Pulse if he's deciding to just look up quickly. If now not the case, the drop down comes in actually. Gorgona about to join. Is that Benja? I think that might be Benja. On the oh, that is going to be a potential C4 that gets tossed up. They know at least that one is going to be there. The peak is going to be coming in from the Archives. Now the Nitro comes in from above. Gorgona picks up the kill onto Dan. That is going to be the first entry yet again. That is going to be a very important operator gone. It's a Thatcher that can no longer disable any of these electronics to allow the Thermite or the Ace to put down the breaching devices.
Well, Joystick's able to find Benja in a bit of a dance with a shield, it looked like. Is one that gets caught a little bit too quick. Sloth suffers with that vertical fight. 2 stories of destruction. That man was slammed through a cage. Oh my god, I just saw that man broken in half. But with only 40 seconds, it's less than a half less to go before they can try and find their way through into the site beneath. They're still trying to get their intel on those remaining players. There's still, obviously, the concern of those smoke canisters, as well as all the intel coming from Gorgona, led to the intel in the pockets of Grizzly as well. Those Echo drones could be something that causes a bit of a ruckus later on. It means you don't quite have the ease of access and angle of plants on what can otherwise be a little bit of a corner-driven site and hold here, but 15 seconds, and finally we get to see Empire's boots hits the ground inside the site itself. Found the first drone and going to dig in on the corner that I talked about before. We saw a little bit of danger and destruction coming over. The grenade doesn't quite buy it, but it's Grizzly that does. Gets the double on the backside. They've got to quickly try and refine the diffuser. Goes through the drone hole one more, and Scyther's going to see if he can stick the plant. Gorgona hops out, going for the cover of the man, but it's always with one more. Gorgona can't quite get it. Scyther clutches it out for Empire.
You'd have fallen after the double kill that came through from the Echo. It would have been a round for Kavana. You cannot count Empire out. They managed to get the diffuser again, and it took a little bit of confusion from Kavana. Like, are they planting again? Yes, they were. But jump in then from that window. Of course, aiding into that round. Able to pick up a singular kill. Of course, died right afterwards, but the diffuser went down in the meantime, and that turned it into another 1v1. 5-3. Grizzly, in the meantime, I believe, 12 kills. Or did I see that wrong? I think it was Grizzly.
Grizzly has stepped up into this game.
He has
12
12
kills.
kills. He's doing super good himself as well right now, and just picking up that Maestro, being on a support role. And the Twitch being brought out. Then, of course, now starting with the normal drone in the prep phase, there's the opportunity to put down into a good position for some extra information, some extra intel. Just to do so successfully.
It's one of the things worth looking into here as well. Is obviously you've got Grizzly 12-4, Benja 11-6, and otherwise, you know, a pretty middling game for the rest of the Kavana players. Sloth, who, you know, he had some fantastic moments in CL in that split in that season, was that top gunner. Hasn't quite been able to find that groove inside the top tier, but at the same time, if you're looking across at Empire, there's not really anyone that's having an outstanding game. It's all just generally good games across the board, apart from, I guess, Joystick, who's not quite been able to find their way in. And without that sort of lead gunner, which was something which, across their performance at Mexico, was a big drive, and SI as well, it turned into a little bit of a slow match for Empire.
It definitely does indeed, and that's probably the reason why they're currently 2 rounds behind. Twitch drone now being used. Has the opportunity to jump now, but might not want to, you know, just throw it into the side like that, especially not with the Mute Jammers in the positions that they are. Trying to get as much of the information as possible. Spots a shield, that's the opportunity to just quickly go through. They need to get the Mute Jammer that's actually on the other side of the wall. Spots an Evil Eye, but that's probably going to be facing to the ceiling, making it so you're not going to be able to... Oh, that's going to be another Evil Eye. It's going to do the exact same thing. Not going to try and take that shot. There we go.
Well, pops and waiting. It's generally the game here. Another approach across the top, but nobody actively inside the site. The hold is sure at its closest, just on Janitors with a swing round. They have the intel to lean their way in, but this is, I guess, one of those curiosities. The castles are going to make sure they can't quite get dropped from the opposite side. They're sort of playing around it. They have the chance to swing in, but it's more of these big open angles and these big extensions, which is nothing that we ever used to see. It was always a locked wall with Impact going over the top to make sure it didn't get popped open.
Selma there taking quite a bit of time before it got shot. And he got there though. The exothermic in the meantime going off. That's a breach they can use potentially for a plant. Empire. Be careful though. Benja is in stock, is looking to try and find a gunfight. Grizzly in the meantime will be able to pick up yet another Scyther. Will go down. That is your ace. There's going to be one of those support players. Of course, the wall has already been breached. You don't really need an extra breach here. You just need to get that cover. You just need to get the side control. That is currently what they're trying to scuffle for. They're trying to get that control. The grenade comes in to take care of the Evil Eye. That's a bit of information gone, but still plenty of players on Kavana's side. They're literally on the site.
And that's it. They don't feel entirely confident, though. They're still trying to find these takes, and Benja swings into one firefight amidst the smoke and gets the drop on a single player, and there's another Empire loss. They punish back, though. Joystick on the double is able to get Grizzly knocked down from the far side of the elevators. Trying to re-pick up the diffuser without somebody popping up behind the chassis is a bit of a danger there. The swing comes closer than expected. 15 seconds, but another blow goes. Joystick is locked off. Gogana up the back of the round stairs. Can't quite get it, and as always, to always be in the position, and Joystick locks it off. I said they were slightly missing him throughout the rest of the game, and he says, duh.
Duh. I am big.
He's big.
The timeout is going to be called, quite logically. And so right now we seem to be heading towards a match point situation for either team. The question will be who will be picking it up first now, because Kavana, well, they have been leading the charts throughout the match. But Empire, in these last couple of rounds, have been able to bring it back, and that is the big worry, of course.
I guess it's one of those situations now where Empire is connecting the dots. As I said before, I am still very hesitant to say just how this map would swing. I think we need a bigger pool, because you know you can quote statistics from old Bank when it was back around. It's not been huge changes, but it's still been changes. But the biggest thing is there's been changes to the meta and the huge slew of operators that have been introduced since. We're looking at a developing pool of, I guess, data coming into what is an aggressive meta. Kavana feel like some of this aggression is slightly slipping away from them because these teams are trying to piece this all together for the first time as well. This is a fresh experience for everybody, and we're trying to thread that needle across all of these players and see if they can get, I guess, the linking part to pull away from them. And it's tough for everybody, I think, in this game. And Kavana, they're trying to get that balance of our hyper aggression has worked in these points, but on defense, it is a lot easier to punish.
It's definitely a lot easier to punish. Let's see if they can punish it now. We're heading back towards that bottom floor. Empire currently up to 5-4. If they manage to get one more round, they equalize the score. That also would mean they are going up to match point. It's a very important round, thus. Kavana still has the opportunity to reach that match point. First, they want to get those 3 points. They want to start it off strong if they want to keep their own dreams for the Major alive. The Major and the Sixth Invitational, rather. Of course, it's still early in the stage. It's the first day, but you want to get those 3 points straight away. You need to start off strong. It's more difficult to fight it back, you would say, at the last 4 games of the stage where you need all 12 points than it would be to just get 3 points at the end of it, because you managed to get those points in the earlier games. So, that's of course what all these teams know. Not really what's going on in their mind, because they know they need to fight and they need to try and win every single game. Right now, both these teams try their utmost best to make sure they secure this one. Some other changes you see is that the top of the windows have been blocked out. That means that a Kali or a Glass that would usually be on top of the garage not really going to have the biggest of impacts now, as Dan spots out the window that has been opened up. And not quite sure who's next to that. Could be Benja that is just prone underneath. Doesn't quite stand out to me, the silhouette of the operator up there. Dan just quietly making his way over towards the skylight, looking to see if he can pick up anybody. Just trying to come from the back. Oh, that is Benja.
Well, Benja is toying with the idea here now. Is Benja on this side and burning as much drones as possible? I think that's Gorgona potentially slipping down. No, it was the roaming Grizzly. On the mute there, as they make their way all the way out and back around. It was an idea of wasting potentially time and getting a frag there. As I said, they can play this aggressive game. They're trying to find the balance of that control, though, and it seems like they're being more controlled. The way that they've fallen themselves back down to site, they want to make sure that they can take the firefights with a bit of backup. They're wasting Empire's time, which, as I said before, is something that became a bit of a problem when Empire couldn't quite get their teeth into a game. Was that not really time management, but putting a lot of eyes and intel and checking and rechecking the plays above. The spray comes through, talking of, and they can't quite get the lockout. Sloth's able to slither their way down, though, down all the way to the site, and they've done, unfortunately, no damage to their aggressor there because of those beams in the floor.
Yeah, little damage done. A lot of damage done to Sloth. He needs to make sure he stays alive. Benja managed to pick up a kill, tries to go for the second, but fails to do that. There's a member now inside of the actual Archives. A beautiful one-tap there from Gorgona. Tries to go for a second, but does not pull the trigger. 50 seconds are left on the clock in the meantime, and it's a 4-on-3 situation just in favor of Kavana. Hold on to this. They might be able to reach that match point, but we've seen too many rounds in the last couple of days just swing around no matter how big the difference is in terms of men count. It's the first season again, or the fresh season that is starting, stage 3. Everything counts, everything differs. Gorgona peeps up and manages to get a kill. Brings it back to 3v2 because he instantly gets traded.
Well, Dan is looking towards this hatch, but Sloth isn't too far away. He's a man with a bit of a revenge, and there's the drop down, and Dan suddenly realized, oh no, they're either side of me. It's an important fight that they've got to try and keep a lock on here, as Scythe is coming around on the split side as well. There it is. The cover comes through over the top of 2 versus 2, 10 seconds. That mirror window has just been knocked out, but they have a bit of a range, and they still have 2 C4s in pocket the way it came through. But Dan sprays through both of them, gets the collateral and the double down, and it's just, no, it's not. It's a quick flick, but it's a beautiful one.
It's a smaller gesture made, and with that, Empire are able to pick up round number 10 to put themselves up to 5-5. And that means that they're fully in the running again to go for the full 3 points, because these two teams are all equaled up now. And after the dominating start from Kavana to basically both the round and this game, it seems like Empire might be the one to turn it around now. But are they? Are they going to be able to turn it around? That's going to be the big question. You saw the relief as well on the members of Empire, something you do not see often, but the arms went behind the head like, yes, okay, we got this. Time was ticking down. It was getting very close to a 6-4 position and situation. They managed to halt it off just for now. Going back to open area and kitchen. Govana. Do they have one more round at least in the pocket to secure themselves a singular point and have the opportunity to fight for 3? They have played such a good match to start it off with. But Empire, of course, the experience that's on the team. Of course, they were the major finalists. You cannot count them out. Are mounting the comeback. They're up to 5-5 now. A singular round puts them onto match point and puts Govana onto the back foot.
3 rounds in a row, and some of them have been very close. There was obviously the one around this similar spot where it came out as Scyther was able to just stick it and drop that final body, but built on the back of a 2K from Grizzly, then removed via a drone hole. It's that little moment of, ooh, small adjustments. Will it be the difference maker here? Empire will be well aware of that as well. They know that some of these rounds have been skin of the teeth, and they know that the momentum is in their favor. They have the drive of this game so far, and they've been able to thread a lot of rounds together. Can they make it 4, potentially 5, to lock this out and take 3 points, which 3 rounds ago looked a little bit dicey in the Empire camp?
2 minutes 20 on the clock, still enough time for Empire to make happen what they need to make happen. But they, of course, need to work on getting into the building, and that's what you see currently. Windows are being opened up, the drones are coming in as well. Information is being gathered because we are in the open area and in the kitchen bomb site. Now, we saw how that went the last time around. It seemed quite going well for Govana. They managed to stop the diffuser from going down with a double kill from Grizzly. However, shortly afterwards, it was the 2 members of Empire that managed to just turn it around. They managed to get 3 kills in quite good fashion. Of course, turning it into a 2-on-2, a 1v1 eventually. There's a Twitch drone now trying to chase down this Echo drone. Oh, just got saved there, I believe. But it's going to be Dan that instantly tries to follow up. It's going to get spotted out by the Yokai drone that's going to be right next to him. And the calls will be coming through. Of course, Gogona is playing on that pulse as well. Has the opportunity to use the C4. But Dan already on some indestructible ground right here. Should be relatively safe.
That is obviously how we saw him removed from the fight previously before, but this time gets that bit of revenge, and Shepard gets a little bit more. A quick double lock off there as Empire is able to try and draw them into that fight on the top of square and put some punishment back down. Sloth is still just dabbling on the other side of this, looking for potential to pull somebody out, hoping they don't quite know that he's just holding on the top of blue. They're behind a plant though, and he's just got the taste of somebody, and Arkic in the meantime gets the full taste. The joystick bites him out and rips him out of this game itself. 50 seconds, another late Empire attack as they finally start finding their way to try and put some pressure onto the site itself. Directly above, they've been doing a bit of steady and body work, but they're still looking and looping to see if they can find their feet inside. The first, as always, drops down, goes for one, almost, and does get the second sprayed through. And that was that play they needed, and that is them so close to taking the full points map point.
For those of you that were wondering if Govana was going to be able to pick up an easy 3 points here today after it's 5-2, suddenly it swaps all around. It's Empire that has the opportunity to go for it. A singular round they have, but they managed to put up and mount up 4 rounds consecutively so far. So there's definitely going to be the opportunity for them to lock it off here. What's 5 when you already have 4? It's just a singular round in that case. Otherwise, we will be going to overtime on Bank here straight away, and the top floor will be brought out. The site that hasn't been seen for the past 11 rounds is being brought out now as the very, very final side of the regulation time. And Govana are the ones to play it. And the question will be, why was it being avoided? Or why will it be picked up now? The mirror comes in as well, gives the opportunity to create some extra lines of sight, maybe from the janitor area. That could be an option, but of course easily to be counted as well from below with the amount of verticality that's there, so it almost has to be on the long desk.
I hate to correct you, but I think we've seen it once.
Have we seen it once, actually? I don't know.
We have, and we saw
Oh, yes, actually we did.
It's a hold, and yeah, Govana's doing the same hold they did before, where they open up the wall where Grizzly's just reinforced there next to him, into square, and they do, as you said, they go for a pretty long hold here. And that was one of the things I commented on when we saw it round last time, is if you used to watch comp, you'll know, and if you haven't, it used to be a locked off wall, and often you'd see that castle roll, which was pretty consistently picked as well to try and offer some surplus protection on Banana. is impact tricking over the top, is catching any of the explosives. With the changes in some of the operators, with the ability to sort of get a little bit underneath that won't be as impactful, and whether that's one of the reasons you assume so, either way, it's a lot more of a width to the hole, a lot more length as they look into square and they sort of say, well, we're going to make you more uncomfortable.
I remember the round now, just the breach that we saw on the right-hand side. I tried to push through, but well, in the end, Empire managed to get it nonetheless. Now, again, trying to go on. It's going to be joystick on the upside-down repel already. Has to be very careful for a player not to be around in the main lobby. Of course, we've seen Benja able to pick up a singular kill from that already. Saito trying to hold of the spiral stairs, circular stairs there, make sure that no one is moving down or up. 2 minutes on that clock. The EMP will be used to take care of the mute jammer. Maybe not actually, not quite sure if the Salmon, no, didn't get it. Might not be able to get it from that range, might be just a little bit too high up, and that means they need to get it closer. That Salmon is actually going to be unrecoverable for now, so that is just going to be sticking up there until the mute jammer gets shot.
Two Salmons.
Two Salmons as well. Why would you throw two if one doesn't work? It's a bit of a waste, there to say, but...
Try again, you know? Well, that's the angle that I talked about before. As I said, that's going to be one where the removal of Hibana makes that way more awkward to sort of get your way in, because you open it. You make that entire corridor one where there's a danger to rotate there. It is a pretty standard one. The corner was often called Kanto because he used to dig into that corner as a player, and he made some insane plays from there. But either way, it becomes that danger spot. The grenade over the top, Benja's going to sort of just brave around. They're hoping they think he slipped out of there, but who gets them first always does not. Benja is able to buy his way into this round. He's had a little bit of trouble over the previous couple, and well, now rather than later, I think is the fairest moment.
Gets the kill. That's the opening. That gives the opportunity to go for a overtime here for Kavana. Need to start trading now. Need to continue going on as Gogona tries to take a challenge with a shotgun from quite far away. At least he makes his presence known. Has that nitro available to him, so just a quick plant is not something that's on the board, but he needs to be very careful because he's in such a strong spot right now. Just nitro from below. Needs to make sure he doesn't die. The last 28 seconds are about to come on the board, and Shepard is going to try and reverse in just to go for that plant. The question is there someone to watch this? Is there someone aware? It doesn't seem to be the case. Dan will be down, but the diffuser goes in. 45 seconds and a post line is about to be set up. Sloth gets a kill, but that might not be enough. A nitro comes out, but no one is there anymore.
Well, the spray comes around onto the man on the diffuser, but Benja's the one that lucks it off. It's a jump out to get the last, and I said Benja was shut out the previous rounds, and he made sure he shut this round down. OT is where we find ourselves off to, and what you didn't quite see there, but I guess we got the end of it, was the rotation from Gogoni. He said it was a very important position, but importantly, he realized that the longer he stayed there, the less likely he would be able to have an impact. He gave that ground up, rotated around via open, back towards the kitchen, and served Dan up on a plate from the other side. And since that moment happened, well, Always and that diffuser found themselves very isolated up top.
Of course, that position was important, but his life was more important in that case. If they managed to get the trades, or rather picks, whilst the diffuser was going down, it was always going to be an easier retake, because you know that if the diffuser goes down there, you will have to use one or two members to jump out onto the one member that's repelling. And that's exactly what happened, but due to the fact that we're still 4 members left, the others could start diffusing already. All different angles in case there was going to be someone up there instead of outside. Now, Kavana back on that bottom floor. 6-6 overtime. They get the defense twice, whether they like it or not, because, well, to be fair, only 4 defensive rounds have been won so far. The others have been attacking rounds. And they need to make sure that they make this one count, because, you know, just getting this one and going over to the attack, which seems to be favored for both these teams, will be such a big impact and a bit of a relief as well.
I guess it's always the curiosities, because it's a learning game, isn't it? The numbers that we'll get with any new data is scattered, and until you get more solid data after a fair few play days, it's something where when it becomes more in a repertoire of teams sort of practicing on it, getting a better taste in scrims and how we see the rest of the regions play on it as well, that data is going to align. And I'm sure that there's words that smart people like you and Tim and Dev would use to talk about graphs and correlating data. I'm just going to say it looks better the more data we got.
It definitely looks good here. Irwin is still being set up. Setup is quite aggressive here from Slav. Hoping to probably find a drone as two Empire members get stuck in a double door. That's not something you see very often. In the meantime, though, always trying to make some quick pace here. Knows a player is going to be around the blue stairs. Just creates a lot of these rotations to allow Empire to just roam around freely because they know the setup. They've played against it a couple of times before. I just want to make sure that it's going to be a good take. And with that, you need to make sure you have a lot of time available to you. And thus they make sure that, you know, they have their drones ready. They know the first floor is clear. They know the second floor is clear. Start making those rotations. Get ready. And now the EMP comes in. The Selmas will shortly follow to open up that hatch.
Now, if you're wondering why that shield is just a little bit in on the door of blue, it's so the ADSs will catch any of the grenades that go through, unless, as we're just about to see, they've been thatchered and can't quite make their way across. No, in fact, they don't actually go for it. They thought they might try and bait the pull, and it's Gorgona that actually finds the pull there and takes Dan out of the equation on the opposite side. Dropped from the second story, but not quite all the way as they take quite a lot of damage. That leaves an Arctic isolated here, but with those canisters and with that shotgun, they have a bit of time, and those ADSs, they've been brought back to life. Now, with Thatcher not in a position to be able to take care of them, they're just going to have to try and burn or swing underneath and see if they can do a little bit of damage either way. The same way that you pull the body out of blue previously is you've just got to have what was done to you, done to them.
I'm still not sure why they did not commit the grenade to try and take care of the player out here. Shotgun shells coming through, but not able to get a hit down. And now the grenade is to come in, but it will be picked up at the ADS, of course, because it wasn't destroyed. They just managed to, well, managed to ADS it or EMP it once. That means it recharges as well, so drop now comes in, always trying to go effectively and quickly here, but the shotgun is coming around the corner, and Arctic is going to be pushed on two sides at the same time and will go down, but wasted a lot of time.
Gorgona's gone down in the same sort of breath on the opposite side, but they do get back to their feet. Very necessary with only 15 seconds. They have one C4 left in the pocket. They're concerned about the angle over the top. Grizzly has the ability to try and do some damage here, but Scyther does that more important part now. Slav is sprayed through. They can't quite get the connection. Gorgona's gone for a huge roam and rotate. Gonna see if they can get an early bit of advantage and taking some of the vertical control. Looks away at the last possible second, sprays down, but gives the game away, and that's the call. He's on the top floor. They know that they can reposition themselves to shut down the angles from more tricky places to defend. Saw the feet of another body, but with only 20 seconds left and still a lot of Empire players to try and get through, they're just baiting his play, wasting his time, realizing where he is step by step, and finishing them off in their own breath.
Empire with that put themselves up to another match point. They get the attack and now need to head over to the defense, knowing that they have another attack up their sleeves. If they do not manage to close it out now, just look at their faces. They're just quickly talking through what they want to do, what they want to go for, because this defense is going to be very crucial. They choose to go to Locker CCTV again, the side they played twice and, well, haven't managed to win. And that might come back at the end of the game. But we don't know yet. 6-7, current scoreline. This could be the very final round.
It's one of those things where we're still clawing our way through all the way to the end. And I guess you've got to give, obviously, the kudos to Empire, who've been able to keep battling themselves further forward and forward. Always has definitely stepped up. It was a conversation we had a bit before, at least a point made, that they didn't really have anyone that was massively stepping up in the same way that Kavana did with Benja and obviously with Grizzly. And since then, we've really seen a bit more of a shine in the gunfighting of Empire. They found that little bit more momentum. They found that little bit more in towards this, and it's built them the stronger precipice, and it's kind of matched their pace to Kavana, who have otherwise struggled since then and struggled to kind of rely on the laurels of these couple of players that are getting themselves into these fights.
Now, would we see another quick push to come through from Kavana? We've seen it before. It caught Empire off guard now, but it's a very important round. Almost hope that they're not going to go for it. Whilst the setup is still really being set up around the blue stairs. Or server stairs, rather. Doesn't seem like anybody wants to go for it now. No, not really. And as we speak, They are setting themselves up. They're getting into the positions where they need to be. They will start droning down. They're trying to get as much information as possible before they start and hitting the site, before they start and opening the site. Hatch will be priority number 1. The wall that is used for the default plans will be priority number 2. Of course, to get a bit of control of servers and the server stairs. Still seems to be the most viable take for this bottom floor. Mute jammers, however, have been set up, and that make it hard to get any drones inside of these stairs. Information is being denied, and that means that they probably think someone is playing there, but they are not going to be able to confirm it because they cannot get any eyes on.
Seen this team be very bold on their attacks, and it definitely lit up the later on that they went, but here it is a cautious approach. They're making sure that every step is one that's metered and balanced. No shield on the top of the stairs, much more of a visceral fight that could come around on the quick swing there, and no difficulty. Joystick, he's not doing his recycling, he's trying to find a way to hop up. There is a vault opportunity here, or a possibility, but as he sorts out what goes in what bin, we'll have a look instead at what goes on what hatch. There it is. He found his way, hopped up onto the bin, and he's going to wait and hold that angle as the pressure starts to mount from green.
So much time used to try and get up to that bin that he is unfortunately probably not going to have to use it because the Kavana attack really seems to be coming down from the server side. Pressure into the server stairs now, just quickly going down. The Empire members have fallen back. It's still a 5-on-5 situation. A minute left of the clock. The openings coming through. The Evil Eyes trying to take care of any of the drones and make sure that the utility stays alive. Twitch drone will be coming in to try and deny that from happening, to try and take care of that little piece of utility. Manages to shoot it straight away. Good shot. But there's still going to be a second one on the side that they need to take care of. And I believe that one is indeed facing the ceiling.
Oh, just jumped a bit too wide there with the new hopping ability of that Twitch drone and fell and befell the mute jammer on the other side of the wall. 30 seconds now, and that is free until this grenade is just going to catch it on the split side. But the swing round of that Vector is a laser. The hop down comes round inside the smoke. They have the cover that they need to, and they're going to try and stick it. The C4 gets one, not the right body though, as another smoke pops over the top. Gorgona pops round onto the corner, onto the vault itself. Post-plant situation, 3 versus 3. A late C4 doesn't quite catch it. Does, in fact, but it was the lock off on someone else's kill inside the smoke and the spray before. Benja with the verticality gets one more, goes for the rotate and dances around a tiptoe of bullets that really isn't anything anyone wants that close. Now a swing round up the green stairs to see if they can regain some control of open. This time the 2 versus 2 means they can keep one body underneath and try and get a bit of a clear and draw some attention and focus away. Benja is looking for the fight here across the teller's office, but the papers being served are all in the pocket of Empire. The late hold, 10 seconds. They just find it. Do they get it?
Oh, maybe just now, baby, maybe. I think they got it. Maybe they don't. It's going to be very close indeed. No! Kavana gets it. It's going to be 0.1.
Oh, my word!
It's going to be the closest round we've had so far today. It seemed like the retake was there, but by the quick and smart planting decision of Empire, they put it on top of the desk. They struggled getting up there themselves, and that really cost them that very final 10th of a second, which could have made it so Empire would have gotten it. But Kavana wants to get it. And now they're going over to the defense themselves. That must be a hit towards Empire. They thought they could have had it. But a lot of time wasted there. Now quickly reset.
You know earlier when I said some of these rounds are skin of their teeth?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't really get much closer.
I think the skin is off here. You're up to the bone at this point.
That, oh my God. I mean, that's one of the closest plants I've seen in it. Probably ever, but wow. 7-7, all the way.
Going all the way to round 15 in this game. Kavana versus Empire. Who will get the 2 points? Because that's what they're fighting for. And as you see right here, when do they start? Just after the 7 seconds ticked away at 6.82 or something like that. Medics goes for a last.
Oh, all the time in the world.
It slows down even more. What was it? 0.29. Very, very, very close here. Empire almost managed to get the gain there. Almost managed to get the 2 points. We've seen him play quite a bunch of these close games. Maybe a consolidation for them that they're on the attack, but they need to make sure that they're not too worried about the previous round. And luckily, we know of Team Empire that they rarely show any emotions, but that one must hurt. It must definitely hurt, and it might give Kavana a bit of momentum to really play off of. And it's very, very final round between these two. Shock drones coming in. They need to take care of the utility a little bit earlier. Make sure they have as much time as possible for their execute, because we're going back to that bottom floor, to the basement yet once more. And Benja, aggressive around the lobby, is being spotted by a drone without him knowing it. Scyther trying to get into a position where he can try and challenge.
Wow, it's Grizzly that suffers first. The spray comes through onto stock, but Benja makes sure that he is at least a bit protected. Their joystick off the board early, and Dan gets that revenge, but Sloth meets that meter and finds the refrag very quickly, and importantly, keeps that body balance in their favor. However, Empire have sometimes suffered early on their rounds, but still been able to build themselves back in as the later push starts to come to a bit of a shove. So there is still a lot of potential, especially with the game that Always has been having so far. The concern, though, is they may have got rid of Grizzly, but Benja is still on the board, and Gorgona has been generally better on the defensive rounds than on their attack.
Well, both these teams have been better on their attack. Just a little bit. But Kavana, this is the moment where you need to nail this defensive round. We've seen it too many times, however, though, that they just completely overrun the side, and at the moment they want to get the C4 in, they just get shot because they're already too far in. A lack of information, really. Of course, due to the fact that the mirror window gets taken care of by the Twitch drone. As Empire goes super quickly here, 45 seconds left on the clock. Actually, they're not going very quickly. There's almost no time left. Where are they? It's going to be 3 of them. Opening up the door. Need to be very quick. They need to get this plan down at some point.
That's it now with that open gone and 30 seconds left in this game. Whatever happens, unless we find a diffuser down, Scyther rotates round to get the hold from above as the grenade goes a bit too long there. Scrapes the side of Benja. It's the reverse plant that doesn't quite come through. The spray wasn't quite covered enough. They're trying to pick up all the pieces. They have just enough time to get the spray around, but Scyther can't quite get the lockdown on the other side. It's suddenly a 3 versus nobody. Benja opened the game with a kill and locked it out in the same. It went the whole way, but it's the debut that anyone dreams of, and Kavana start this split in the best way possible.
Indeed, what a debut it has been for him. Benja able to pick up so many of these kills, important kills, 3 Ks even to start off the round and the game. And with that, it's going to be an 8-7 victory for Kavana, a well-earned one. Just not the 20 kills there for Benja, but look at how many of these players managed to go to the double digits. It was definitely a nail-biter here. It could have gone either way up until basically halfway that final round, where the man advantage was there, the time was slowly dwindling, and Empire saw their chances on the 2 points just slipping. Kavana, well, they take the win with their new recruit on their side. So let's toss it over to our new recruit on the desk.
That was
Thanks, Sav. Oh, wait. I mean,